Welcome back to Sissy Maya. Here, we embrace true femininity. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to never miss an update.
John had always felt like he was living a double life. During the day, he was a successful business executive, presenting himself as the epitome of masculine confidence. But at night, when he was alone in his apartment, he would transform into something entirely different. He would slip into his wife's dresses and heels, carefully applying makeup and fixing his hair until he looked like a completely different person. This was the secret that he had been keeping from his wife for years. John had suppressed his desire to cross-dress for a long time, afraid of how his wife and the world would react. But as the years went by, the urge became stronger and harder to ignore. He couldn't keep hiding this part of himself forever, and he knew that eventually, he would have to face the consequences. One evening, after a particularly stressful day at work, John came home to find his wife, Sarah, waiting for him in their living room. Her arms were crossed, and her expression was stern. "John, we need to talk," she said, her voice firm. John's stomach dropped. He knew what this was about. He had been careless, and Sarah had finally found out about his secret. "Sarah, I can explain," John stuttered, his mind racing. But Sarah didn't let him finish. She stood up and walked towards him, her eyes filled with hurt and disappointment. "Explain what, John?" "The fact that I found your stash of women's clothing in the back of our closet. Or the fact that I caught you wearing my laundry last week." Sarah's voice was shaking with anger. John felt like he had been punched in the gut. He had always suspected that Sarah knew about his cross-dressing, but he never imagined that she would confront him about it. "I'm sorry, Sarah. I didn't mean to keep this from you. I just didn't know how to tell you," John said, his voice barely above a whisper. Sarah let out a sigh and sat down on the couch, motioning for John to join her. He hesitated for a moment before reluctantly sitting next to her. "John, I love you, and I want to understand. But I can't do that if you keep hiding this part of yourself from me. I want you to be honest with me," Sarah said, her tone softening. John felt a weight lifted off his shoulders. He had been carrying this secret for so long, and finally, he could share it with someone. "I've always felt like I was different, Sarah. Like I didn't fit in with other men. I've been cross-dressing since I was a teenager, and it's always been a way for me to express myself and feel free," John explained, his voice trembling with emotion. Sarah took his hand in hers and gave it a gentle squeeze. "I understand, John. And I want to help you. I don't want you to have to hide anymore," she said, her eyes filled with compassion. John couldn't believe what he was hearing. He had expected anger and rejection, but instead, Sarah was offering him acceptance and support. Over the next few weeks, Sarah and John had many conversations about cross-dressing and what it meant for their relationship. Sarah had always been open-minded and accepting, but she also had many questions. John was grateful for her patience and understanding, and he felt closer to her than ever before. One evening, Sarah surprised John with a gift. She had bought him a beautiful dress, a pair of heels, and a full set of makeup. She told him that she wanted to help him fully embrace his feminine side, and she would teach him everything she knew about makeup and fashion. John was hesitant at first, but he couldn't resist the opportunity to explore his true self with the support of his wife. They spent the whole evening experimenting with different makeup looks and trying on different outfits. Sarah showed him how to walk in heels and how to pose for the camera. As the night went on, John felt more and more comfortable in his own skin. He had never felt so free to express himself before, and it was all thanks to Sarah. The next day, Sarah surprised John again by taking him to a professional makeup artist to get a full makeover. John was nervous, but also excited. He had never had his makeup done by a professional before, and he was curious to see how he would look. The makeup artist was surprised to see a man sitting in her chair, but she didn't bat an eye. She listened to Sarah's explanation and got to work, transforming John's face into that of a beautiful woman. When she was finished, John couldn't believe his reflection in the mirror. He looked like a completely different person. The makeup artist had emphasized his best features and transformed him into a stunning woman. Sarah couldn't hide her excitement and pride as she took John out for a night on the town. They went to a fancy restaurant, and John felt like a celebrity as people turned their heads to look at him. He had never experienced this level of attention and admiration before, and he loved every minute of it. As the weeks went by, Sarah continued to help John explore his femininity. She showed him how to do his own makeup and helped him pick out clothes that suited his body and style. She also encouraged him to practice his voice, and with her guidance, John was able to develop a more feminine tone. One day, Sarah suggested that they go shopping for lingerie. John was hesitant at first, but Sarah assured him that it was a safe and accepting environment. They went to a boutique lingerie store, and Sarah helped John pick out a few sets of beautiful, lacy lingerie. When they got home, Sarah asked John to go try on his new lingerie while she made some tea. John was a bit nervous, but he trusted Sarah and wanted to make her happy. He slipped into the lingerie and looked at himself in the mirror, feeling a sense of euphoria. He had never felt so comfortable and confident in his own skin. Sarah came into the room and gasped when she saw John. She could hardly believe how beautiful he looked in the lingerie she had picked out for him. "I can't believe how gorgeous you are, John. I'm so proud of you," Sarah said, her eyes filled with tears. John felt a surge of emotion as he realized how far he had come with Sarah's help. He couldn't have done it without her love and support. From that day on, John fully embraced his crossdressing, with Sarah's full support. He would often go out in public dressed as a woman, and he no longer cared about what others thought. He was finally able to live his life authentically, and it was all thanks to his loving and accepting wife. John and Sarah's relationship grew stronger and more intimate as they explored this new side of themselves together. They had both discovered a new level of trust and understanding, and their love for each other only grew stronger. John had never imagined that coming out as a crossdresser would lead to such a fulfilling and happy life. And he knew that he had Sarah to thank for that. She had not only accepted him for who he was but had helped him embrace and celebrate his true self. He was no longer living a double life, but instead, he was living as his authentic self, with the love and support of his wife by his side.